This evening, government to begin distribution of cement and steel vouchers today. 9 out of 12 charged with terrorism for Mon Repos riot last year. Nine Annandale squatters receive keys to new low-income homes. In the region, Brazil hit by deadly floods and landslides, and internationally, Ukrainian soldiers face heavy fire by Russia. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, following the wanted bulletin issued by the Guyana Police Force last week, 9 persons appeared at the Sparna Magistrates Court charged with terrorism during the riot in Mon Repos last year and were placed on bail on Monday, February 21st. The accused are 30-year-old Julian Peters, a vendor of Victoria Village, 35-year-old Philip Burke, a contractor of Section C Golden Grove, 54-year-old Mark Hercules of Enmore North, 28-year-old English of Golden Grove, 29-year-old Terence Adolphus Ned of Nabaclis, 27-year-old Tion Glasgow of David Street, Golden Grove, 52-year-old Tony McKinnon of Golden Grove, 40-year-old Carlos Kingston of Golden Grove, and 44-year-old David Berkshire of Nabaclis, East Coast Demerara. They all appeared before Magistrate Alicia George, where the charge was read to them. The men were not required to plea, and bail was granted in the sum of $300,000 each, with conditions to lodge their passports and report every fortnight. The court heard that on June 28, 2022, the men were involved in terror and mayhem on the east coast of Demerara. The protesters allegedly burned several vehicles, blocked roads with burning debris, and ransacked and looted numerous stalls at the Mon Repos market. Scores of people were beaten and robbed during the incident. In other news, the government is slated to begin the distribution of vouchers for the Cement and Steel Support Initiative to support home builders in the country from today. The initiative aims to reduce the cost of construction materials for the foundation of homes, thereby increasing access to affordable housing. The Minister of Housing and Water, Colin Crowell, announced that the Central Housing and Planning Authority would initiate the distribution process with individuals who have already qualified and been verified. This initiative will provide qualified citizens with construction materials for the foundation of homes at reduced cost. Under the initiative, eligible persons constructing homes costing $6 million or less will receive steel needed and 1 sling of cement to construct the foundation. Home builders spending $6 million to $25 million will be given 2 slings of cement. To qualify, any Guyanese processing the land must have pre-approved in the form of their construction plan. Private developers are also encouraged to utilize the Housing Support Initiative. Interested persons can register for the steel and cement support by collecting forms from the Ministry of Housing and Water or the Central Housing and Planning Authority head office or some offices in regions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. Forms can also be downloaded via the Ministry of Housing and Water or the Central Housing and Planning Authority's websites. Staying with current events, 9 families who have been squatting along the sea defense reserves in Annandale, East Coast Demerara, have received low-income 2-bedroom homes. On Monday, Housing and Water Minister Colin Crowell handed over the keys to the homes built at Annandale New Scheme. President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali visited the community in September of 2022, and at the time, 15 families were informed of the government's plan to relocate them to a wholesome community with all basic amenities. 10 families accepted the government's offer to construct homes for them, while the remaining 5 opted for lands. Each family will pay approximately $25,000 per month towards their mortgage. The government is taking measures to eliminate squatting and unregulated settlements. The residents expressed gratitude for the opportunity to have affordable homes. Stick around when we return. Driver placed on $1 million bail for causing death, among other charges, and new wells to provide potable water for villagers in the Pomeroon.
It's clearance Smash Sale, where you get 25 to 50% off jeans, jerseys, short pants, crop tops, sneakers, slippers for both men and women, and a whole lot more. MASH is back, and our MASH sale is bigger than ever at Clearance on Wednesday, February 22nd. Clearance, always keeping you in style.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Give your home or office some shine. Fortune Investment Company. We provide reliable commercial and residential professional cleaning services in Guyana. We clean homes and commercial offices. Other services offered are floor care and tile polishing, interior auto detailing services, power washing, weeding and cleaning, and carpet, couch, and mattress cleaning. We are committed to keeping your homes and offices squeaky clean. Call us now at 592-689-7558 or 592-639-6365 or visit us at 3430 Jackson North Rumville, Georgetown, Guyana. Fortune Investment Company. When we say clean, we mean spotless.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
Welcome back. 24-year-old painter Devon Brutus of Middlewalk, Buxton, East Coast Demerara appeared before Magistrate Fabio Azor at the Vigilance Magistrates Court on Monday after being charged in connection to a fatal accident that occurred on Wednesday, February 15th. Brutus was charged with causing death by dangerous driving, being an unlicensed driver, and breach of insurance. He pleaded not guilty to all three charges. The accident happened around 5 a.m. on the Enmore Public Road, East Coast Demerara, and resulted in the death of Samantha Moffett, a 41-year-old vendor from Haslington New Scheme, East Coast Demerara. The motorcar PZZ 7712, driven by Brutus, was proceeding east along the road at a fast rate of speed when Brutus lost control and ended up in the trench on the southern side. As a result, Moffett, who was seated in the front passenger seat, was flung out of the car and into the trench, where she received injuries about her body. Brutus escaped with injuries but was transported to the Georgetown Public Hospital for treatment. He was later arrested by the police. Magistrate Fabio Azor granted Brutus bail in the sum of $1,050,000 and adjourned the matter to April 11 for reporting fixture. This is after the defendant was charged with causing death by dangerous driving, being an unlicensed driver, and breach of insurance. Also in the court, Two fishermen from Rose Hall Quarantine, Berbice, were sentenced to 25 years in prison when they appeared at the Berbice High Court on Monday for killing a boat captain during a piracy attack in 2017. 63-year-old Do Not Sing and 44-year-old Kemraj Narsia had pleaded guilty to manslaughter before Justice Narendra Singh, admitting to killing Mahadio Ramdial, also known as Chico. Ramdial's family called for justice to be served, stating that they are still grieving over his gruesome death. The defendants were armed with a cutlass when they attacked Ramdial and his crewmen, robbed them of their fish and outboard engine, and forced them to jump overboard. Ramdial's body was found the following day. In other news, residents in the lower Pomeroon villages of Wakapoa, Akawini, and upper Pomeroon villages of Karawab and Kabakaburi will soon have access to potable water for the first time. The announcement was made by Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell during a two-day outreach to the region last week. The villagers currently rely on river water and rainwater harvesting for their water supply. The new wells will provide a better quality of life for the communities. During the outreach, residents also had opportunities to highlight issues affecting their communities, which relevant subject ministers and agencies will address. The minister also encouraged the communities to be innovative and embark on projects that will foster sustainable economic growth and job creation as they are set to benefit from the sales of Ghana's carbon credits. The new wells will be a welcome relief for the communities, providing safe and reliable access to potable water and improving their quality of life. Don't go away after the break. Ukrainian soldiers face heavy fire by Russia and frozen collaborations. Arctic research ends after funding stops.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 4-6 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Give your home or office some shine. Fortune Investment Company. We provide reliable commercial and residential professional cleaning services in Guyana. We clean homes and commercial offices. Other services offered are floor care and tile polishing, interior auto detailing services, power washing, weeding and cleaning, and carpet, couch, and mattress cleaning. We are committed to keeping your homes and offices squeaky clean. Call us now at 592-689-7558 or 592-639-6360. 665 or visit us at 3430 Jackson North Rumville, Georgetown, Guyana. Fortune Investment Company. When we say clean, we mean spotless.
It's Claire's Mash Sale, where you get 25 to 50% off jeans, jerseys, short pants, crop tops, sneakers, slippers for both men and women, and a whole lot more. MASH is back, and our MASH sale is bigger than ever at Claire's on Wednesday, February 22nd. Claire's, always keeping you in style.
Welcome back. Now let's take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Rescue teams in Brazil are continuing to search for dozens of people who are missing after floods and landslides around São Paulo. Al Jazeera's Monica Yannick reports.
Laerte Silva's brother lived here. He has little hope of finding him alive.
He must be buried somewhere here. My sister-in-law and my baby niece were rescued from the rubble by the neighbors, but my brother stayed behind and was dragged by the mud avalanche that destroyed their home.
Silva's brother is one of 40 that died in lethal landslides in the seaside town of São Sebastião, 200 kilometers from Brazil's largest city, São Paulo. São Sebastião was the epicenter of devastating floods after 600 millimeters of rain fell in 24 hours. Dozens of people remain missing.
The family living in this house was lucky. A 62-year-old man, his daughter, and 2 grandchildren, aged 10 and 15. They fled as soon as they heard the mudslide and the vegetation being torn down the hill, and they made it just in time before this tree crashed into their house.
Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva visited the disaster area on Monday as rescue operations continued.
Sometimes nature surprises us, but many times we challenge nature. We have to think of safe places to rebuild houses for the people of São Sebastião.
Ludmila Jimenez says it's time the government admitted that tragedies like these could be avoided.
People blame us for putting our lives at risk by building our houses on the hills in unsafe places, but we have no other options. Rents in the city are high, and the only way we can afford a roof over our heads and put food on the table is by building our own shacks, and we don't have cheap housing.
Ludmila escaped the landslide with her husband and 1-month-old baby. Like many of the 2,000 people who lost their homes or were forced to leave, she took refuge in the nearby church.
The church and thousands of volunteers were fast to help, gathering clothes, water and food for the flood victims. We house 300 people, but are expecting more to come and will soon run out of space.
While some neighbors are helping the rescue teams, others offer encouragement with songs and pray for the rain to stop. Monica Yanakiev, Al Jazeera, São Sebastião, Brazil.
Internationally, Ukraine's military says it desperately needs more arms and ammunition from Western allies to hold off overwhelming Russian attacks. Aid is on the way, but for many troops on the front line, it is already too late. Al Jazeera's Zain Bashravi reports. Warning, some viewers may find some images in this report distressing.
The wounded keep coming, leaving the front line on their backs into the care of medics. The lucky ones are stabilized and moved to hospitals, where the hope is they will leave on their feet.
The most difficult thing for us right now is losing our fighters, losing our people, those who are fighting for Ukraine. When they bring in a person who is wounded and has deadly injuries, you watch on and you can't help with anything. It's the worst thing you can imagine.
At aid stations like this one in the Donetsk region, close to the fighting, there is very little space between life and death. Doctors say saving a Russian soldier can be just as important.
I took the Hippocratic Oath, and I am obliged to treat all patients regardless of nationality. And secondly, the saved life of a captive is an opportunity to exchange for our captive in their camp. So that way we can save the lives of our soldiers.
And still, the wounded keep coming. Facing rapid assaults in the east or standing guard in the north, Ukraine soldiers say the threat of the next Russian attack is everywhere. We're about 15 kilometers from the border with Belarus in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Russian forces had occupied this area at the beginning of the invasion. Senior commanders with the Ukrainian troops now tell us that they're carrying out these live fire exercises to be prepared if Russian troops ever decide to come back. These drills are happening close to the site of the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Russia's occupation of the site last year, the ongoing occupation of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, Ukraine says makes the threat, either by accident or design, of nuclear fallout a real possibility.
Training is happening here because there exists a chance of possible attack from Belarus, which we already had some time ago. So we are training at this exact location to be sure we are ready to meet the enemy.
Engaged in battle or waiting to get into the fight, Ukrainian soldiers say they've been forced into the kind of conflict that was, until a year ago, a thing of the past. They say they want Russians to leave their land and peace to return. Zain Basravi, Al Jazeera, the Chernobyl exclusion zone in Ukraine.
And finally, Russia-Ukraine war has forced scientific collaborations that monitor the polar north to end. Al Jazeera's Colin Barker has more on the war's effect on Arctic research.
The effects of climate change happen fastest in the Arctic. Here, wetlands, forests, permafrost, unique species, and indigenous peoples live face to face with the direct impacts of our warming planet. Scientists have monitored the Arctic for generations, but after the start of the war in Ukraine, collaborations froze. Data streams built up for years went quiet as nations and universities ceased partnerships with counterparts in Russia. The effects on science were immediate.
One of the most concerning data streams that we have lost is real-time or near real-time observations of atmospheric greenhouse gas concentrations from towers that are placed across Siberia.
Interact, a European network, runs 89 collaborative Arctic monitoring stations. 21 across Russia lost funding after the war began. Information that can only be gathered on the ground is already being lost.
We can't understand planet Earth without understanding the Arctic, because in the Arctic we have what they call positive feedbacks, that when we stir up something in the Arctic because of fossil fuel emissions from the rest of the world, then a chain of events happens in the Arctic. But those events don't stay there. There's an amplification of climate change which happens in the rest of the world.
The Sami Council represents indigenous peoples across 4 countries, including Russia. It suspended funding its Russian representatives while maintaining scientific research.
The larger scale monitoring is important, but as indigenous peoples in the Arctic, we have embedded in our cultures a long-term monitoring on a more local and regional scale. Over the millennia, we have been living in these areas. We have accumulated a lot of monitoring data, to put it that way, which is embedded in our indigenous languages.
The Arctic is warming fast. The full costs of the data loss may not be known for some time. Colin Baker, Al Jazeera.
This has brought us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. This concludes today's Headline News Update. Tune in tomorrow, Wednesday at 7 p.m. with our next broadcast. For more news and updates, you can visit our Facebook and YouTube pages. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.